to be 65 and sitting on a beach for the rest of your life doing nothing, then the social science tends to say that's not very good for you. You actually should be involved in your community and get involved and still have a side job and all the rest of that. But if we really believe that we can't raise the retirement age and we're never going to change that, we will go bankrupt.
So what is up? Welcome back to the channel. My God, I'm so excited. I'm seeing like this is all of a sudden this like explosion of subscribers. So thank you so much. And of viewers. Yes. Shout out to y'all. We are here to make it happen here on News Central now. So with that said, in this clip, we're going to watch Ana Kasparian absolutely dismantle Ben Shapiro, I should say, Ben Shapiro on CNN on Newsnight with Abby Phillip. Ana Kasparian is going to destroy Ben Shapiro's argument on Newsnight with Abby Phillip, because I remember this argument about raising the retirement age, and Ben Shapiro has absolutely no self-awareness. We'll come back to that, but in this clip, Ana Kasparian is going to destroy everything that Ben Shapiro has to say about that position of, people having to work until they die, basically, like just drop dead at work or something. I don't know. Let's go ahead and get into it.
From Ben Shapiro. Take a look.
All the talk about cutting at the margins, whatever Doge is doing, that's not going to touch the real driver of the systemic debt in the United States. Women are living to 85 if you make it to 65. Men are living to 83 if you make it to 65. That's 20 years on the public dime.
When you're talking about, hold on, when you're talking about the government paying, you're talking about Social Security, yes, which is people's money.
Well, it is not the money you paid in.
It's the system that they pay in.
Well, no,
you're never paycheck stub.
Yes, but believe me, I pay a lot.
I pay Social Security. I don't know about you.
I promise you, the amount that people are taking out is not the amount that is going in, which is why we are going bankrupt.
Okay.
Now, before she says everything she's about to say, I just love how Ben Shapiro has absolutely no self-awareness to the argument that he is making. Let me just hear a little bit from Ana Kasparian on TYT adding on to this. It's kind of hard finding these clips on CNN. I was willing to even, subscribe to CNN, but you can't find the archive clips. And I'm not getting cable, y'all. I'm just not.
So I've been advised by Ben to look at a chart of our national debt. And I'm going to do that in a minute. But before I do, due to Social Security, really, you don't think like the trillions of dollars we've spent on wars in the Middle East might have something to do with that?
It's not even
our national debt. Our national debt shot up significantly after 9/11, after we started invading countries in the Middle East.
You should look at a chart.
Now we're at 30. So it's kind of hard to hear because we're talking over each other, but he said at the very end, you should look at a chart of our national debt. And I took his advice. So let's take a look at a chart of the national debt and see where it shot up. Oh, wow. Would you look at that? Using data from the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, this chart shows how U.S. spending, or I should say the debt, really shot up exponentially beginning in the early 2000s. Gee, I wonder what happened then. So the last time the United States, by the way, had a budget surplus, not a deficit, not a debt, budget surplus, was when President Bill Clinton was leaving office in 2000 and George W. Bush was coming in. So obviously Social Security wasn't bankrupting the country. We weren't dealing with debt at that point, and Social Security was already, a well-established, program. So what changed in the early 2000s? What could it have been? Well, here's Senator Bernie Sanders. This is a speech he gave on the Senate floor in 2012, basically taking us down a trip, or taking us on a trip down memory lane. Take a look.
President Bush assumed office, and within a few years, we were fighting not just one war in Afghanistan, but another war in Iraq. And many of the deficit hawks today, the people who tell us, oh, gee, we've got to cut Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid and nutrition and education. We got to cut. When asked to pay for those wars, they had nothing to say. Nobody knows exactly how much these two wars will end up costing, but the guess is that by the time we take care of the last veteran 70 years from now, those wars may run up over $3 trillion, and we did not pay for them to the tune of 1 penny.
So understand what Senator Sanders is saying there. He's saying, look, we just keep engaging in conflict abroad, starting wars in the Middle East, there are no pay-fors. We are literally borrowing money to do this. And that is why when you look at a chart of our national debt, you will notice our national debt skyrockets beginning in the early 2000s.
This is actually a very good comprehensive report of our national debt issue, because there was a time where, look, automatically I'll say, like, what about the wars? You know, why are we spending this much money? Not necessarily on our military industrial complex, but why are we starting wars in other countries, especially with the 7 countries and all of that? You know, how much money did we spend on that? I mean, more than anything, how much American blood was spilled for that for no reason? That's a different story, maybe for a different video. Anyway, so this is a point that I like to make, but then people will say, like, no, but we spend way more in with the social services of, like, welfare and all of that. And Social Security, you know, for the elderly and all that. But the thing is that we do pay, at least we know we pay into it. At least there is a way to extract the money. And people like me will never see that money, right? But it's still going to come out of my paycheck. But guess what? I don't care if it's going to the American people, because I live here. What they said about borrowing money to go to war, that's absolutely insane. And this is where, you know, you're seeing this spike, this rise and everything. And so it's absolutely insane. So Bernie Sanders, who still does sign for every war, like, I mean, he never signs against them, though. Like, let's keep it real. He does explain it very, you know, in detail. So I do thank him for that. And Kasparian was good to look at the charts. And you'll always find, though, it's so annoying, because somebody else will find a graph that will go against what Ana Kasparian said. But at least Ana Kasparian's trying. Ben Shapiro would never, ever say that we should not be spending money on wars to make so-called the Middle East safer. I know we're still doing this war on terror thing. I mean, hey, guys, something's changed apparently since 9/11. Guess what? You don't have to take your shoes off anymore at TSA. So, hey, maybe we're getting there. Maybe there's some. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Apparently, there's a part where Scott Jennings gets offended. So let's go to that, because, well, you know how that goes.
Israel is entitled to it, and how dare you bring up the Middle East? So let's take a look at how that exchange went down. Honestly, these foreign conflicts have a lot more to do with our national debt as opposed to us paying into
You think Israel is a bigger portion of our budget than Social Security, Medicare,
I think we spend way too much money on military aid for foreign countries.
Do you think Israel is more than Social Security?
Do you think that Social Security is more of an issue compared to how much money we just shell out for conflicts abroad?
The truth of the matter is
that both entitlements and defense are a big issue.
Okay, so I would prefer not to fund a genocide. So there's the moral issue with that, obviously. But I also have a problem with providing military aid to a country that had an economic surplus as recently as 2021.
Why didn't she say that in front of Ben Shapiro? Maybe because I can't find the original clip. So bear with me. Maybe she did. Because once Scott would have been like, you think Israel is the part, because he was trying to get her. Scott Jennings was trying to corner Ana Kasparian by bringing up Ben Shapiro's favorite country. But the difference between me and Ana Kasparian is I would have met him right at that corner. Do not call my bluff, because I'd have been like, I see what you're doing there, and I'm going to raise you a 10, because guess what? Yes, of course. I think this unholy alliance that we have with Ben Shapiro's favorite country has been a problem for a long time. Forget the money. Now I'm going to talk about American blood that has been shed for this country, for Ben Shapiro's favorite country. Okay, we could go into clean break. Scott, what do you want to do? Where do you want to take this? Like, let's do this. If you're about it, I'm about it. That's where I would have went with it. But yes, this is why I'm not going to be on news. This is why we do news night here. I want to see. It looks like Ana Kasparian goes off on TYT about this. Let's just see real quick what she says.
Communicating here is our problem here in the United States is all these elderly people collecting their entire entitlement benefits. Okay, not the fact that we've been shelling out trillions of dollars for global wars, in many cases on behalf of Israel, with no pay-fors. That is so sick. It's so sick that, like, it's ingrained in the minds of these pundits on the right and some on the left as well, meaning the Democrats in positions of power, that like, no, I mean, our government shouldn't work on behalf of taking care of its constituents, of its people, of its citizens. Your resources shouldn't actually be used to enrich your life, to protect you in your old age, so you're not out on the streets with nothing. It's just, we should focus all of our energy on what are we getting out of those wars again?
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and we could just stop right there with this clip because I mean it is true. People would say, "Oh, we're not safer. We're clearly not safer." I mean, the closest we've gotten to getting some of our liberty back is that we can take our socks off at the TSA. But the surveillance state that we're building, I'm not even sure if that pans out anymore. Balances out rather. So I mean, I don't know, but Ben Shapiro was ready to eat Ana Kasparian. Like when she was like X Y, he was like, like when she said the military does it, and he was. I'm surprised he didn't say you're just a hater of, but whatever. Pretty interesting clip. I never got a chance to watch this, but I always like watching Ana Kasparian at least try to do the best she can. I understand the CNN. You can't say too much, right? But man, at least she's there trying to do the best that she can. But you guys let me know what you think. I'll see you guys at the next one. Bye.